Disclaimer: I do not own any of the following photos that you are about to see. These are often off the internet, and they all do have their copyrights to their original owner. Thank you, and enjoy the video. My brother and I used to play really avidly when Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow were hot on the scene with Game Boy and Game Boy Color. As the series went on, we alternated on who bought the extra game that set in the middle of each series. In this generation of games, I took the first turn with Yellow while he played on Red. We had made it our mission to get every Pokemon and grind them to stupidly high levels. It was our obsession and break from everything around us. About a year or so ago down the line, my brother began to grow bored with the norm. He started looking around for cheats in the game to make things a little more interesting. In his search, he found one of the many alleged methods of capturing a glitch Pokemon named MissingNo. Using the Cinnabar Island glitch, of course. The post came with a warning that it could corrupt the game data and cause it to be unusable, with no other fix than delete and save. As just how he was, he ignored the warning, as it turned out to be completely wrong anyway. We were glad at the time. We wanted to see what fun could be had with this. So, after following the guide's steps, as well as a few bad attempts at capture, he finally had a hold of this little old glitch. He quickly found the first of his quirks. Along the way, the item cloning glitch, which at the time covered his hyper potions. The moveset was also weird. It had 2 sets of water gun in the first 2 attack slots. The other attacks I can't remember. It was a while ago and we're just kids. Jumping forwards, quite a while later. After messing around with the MissingNo glitch in Pokemon Stadium, which gave him a substitute doll model as a placeholder, we decided to look back at our old Pokemon save files and try to finish our mission. But first, a link battle. The main contender to beat being is MissingNo. About halfway into the fight, he decided to let out the monstrous glitch. So my forces fell quickly, soon as I was left with just a Machop. Which for me was strange, as I'd never normally have one in the party. First rounds of attacks came and he used his second water gun on the list. I gave him a painfully weak tackle. I thought my Machop was going to faint in a single move, but something went odd at this point. Both MissingNo's and Machop's health bars began to fluctuate rapidly, and where the experience bar should be, I was seeing a second health bar for my Machop also fluctuating. Both Pokemon had all status effects on at once. The sprites for status elements mangled together into one space, flashing through one another, like you see with intersecting models in a 3D game. After a moment of weirdness, my Machop somehow managed to get his tackle in there. So, the second round of attacks was on its way, and I had that terrible alarming sound of low health blaring away at my ears. We both repeated attacks, and this was going to put an end to the strange battle. MissingNo went first with his water gun, but after a short freeze, rather than fainting, the sprites for both Pokemon changed. My Machop resembled what we would later discover to be a Lugia from the Pokemon game Gold and Silver. and his missing no looked like a ho-oh, which we only recognized from the intro. A couple seconds more of fluctuating health, and a very odd KO scream later, my now Lugia spirited Machop finally fainted. Except it said, "Wild Machop has fainted." Wild? But this was my Machop, and there was no wild Pokemon in a Link battle. At first we were confused, but before we had time to figure it out, both of our Game Boys shut off mid-save. Figuring it was a battery outage, we plugged them into the mains and switched them back on. My Machop had vanished from the party. It just got weirder. It wasn't in any of my PC storage boxes either. I thought to myself, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. So I set out to find another Machop to capture, but they just weren't appearing for me. We put down to my typical luck. A few weeks later, on a bored and empty day of near nothingness, I lounged around and watched as he played Pokemon on the TV screen using the Nintendo 64 connection. He decided he would adventure out, back to places with possible trainers he might have not battled yet. He made his way to Lavender Tower, found absolutely nobody, but on his way out, he noticed something. We didn't spot it on the way in. A player sprite stood next to a tomb. The character had my trainer name, and when spoken to said, "My poor Machop, I should never have let you into that battle. Please, forgive me." A little, his missing no had apparently killed my Machop. Well, according to the new character in Lavender Tower, we searched online to see if this had happened to anyone else, and the closest links to this we could find were some images from the original comics featuring such nastiness as an Arbok being cut in half with Slash and zombie Psyducks. It was gruesome, and it firmly backed the idea that Pokemon could actually be killed. Although we didn't know how this should affect the games, my brother and I decided to get off the games for a little while, just to let it set in for a while. After a while, my brother grew curious and decided to get on the game again. He loaded his save file and jumped on it. After adventuring for a while, he decided there were no bugs. He checked his Pokemon. There was still missing no in his party. He kept playing. We were feeling pretty sure that was all the weirdness it could pull on us. We looked for trainers, not yet battled, and eventually found his missing no's second victim, an NPC trainer's Growlithe. Following the same attack pattern as usual when wiping out enemies, he just clicked away at Water Gun until there were no Pokemon left to fight, the last being Growlithe again. Just like in the Link battle, the game froze for a short moment before Growlithe fainted, and again, it stated "wild" in the message. Spotting the pattern, he went straight back to the tower. What he found was the player sprite still stood where he was, mourning the death of a Machop, and an unforgiving NPC trainer with a random dialogue of 3 comments he would throw at you when spoken to. These were, "My poor, sweet Growlithe. If I only know you would be so cruel. What do you want? Leave me alone." How could you be so heartless? We battle to train and learn about our Pokemon. To get close to them. Like I did to him. Just get out of here. This was about all he could let happen. He treated the game like corruption and overwrote his entire progress with the new save file, simply to get rid of what was done. The negative reinforcement surely didn't help. What with seeing what was in the series, it only aided the idea that deaths were originally made to be implemented into the game, but later scrapped. And as a side effect of the MissingNo, glitched nature was somehow re-triggered. All of the game plays perfectly normal now, with a 0 death toll, thankfully. Those strange happenings were burned into our minds. We never thought the dark side of Pokemon franchise could have made it into a seemingly innocent children's game. But it had made apparent that it can.